Look, I know that I'm as original here as DJs doing interpolations of classic pop songs, but think of this video more as an homage to Razorfist rather than me copying his style. And since the recent events regarding the fixed TF2 movement took place, I feel that now is the right time to pull the script out of my repertoire and finish what I wanted to start a long time ago. It's time to expose Valve for the company they truly are. And as much as they are the legends of the gaming industry, it's only right, and I consider it as my personal duty to expose them as the true villains of the gaming industry that are closer to EA and Ubisoft rather than to Devolver Digital. One thing I just outright don't get is why gamers pretend that Valve is this all glorious gaming company. Every PC gamer seems to be ready to plant their knees firmly to the ground and accept Gabe and Specker in their gaping maw like they are an altar boy with a Catholic priest, but most of you just don't realize how bad Valve actually is. Don't worry, I'm about to wake you up to this nightmare like I'm a child of a sleep paralysis demon and Morpheus. And before you start flinging your feces at the screen and pressing the dislike button, I ask of you to watch this video with an open mind and take my points here into consideration. I know that for most of you, such concept might be incomprehensible. After all, gamers today don't really look at what kind of cinematic garbage they even consider as gameplay nowadays. But as someone who started playing games when I was just 4 years old and saw gaming evolve over the past 20 years, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Seeing as most of you probably aren't even of the legal drinking age and are dumb enough to own a console. So sit down, strap in, open your skull, and actually listen to what I have to say here. Valve is this monolithic company that seemingly can do no wrong. You think that loot boxes originally appeared in some Asian games or on some Facebook games, or even that FIFA Ultimate Team and EA are responsible for this cancer on the gaming industry, but Valve are actually the ones to blame here. If it wasn't for the incredibly fun Team Fortress 2 or CSGO, loot boxes and their astronomical prices would have never taken off. I remember back when CSGO came out, these things have been massive. Even my friends in primary school were constantly discussing opening CSGO cases like a bunch of crack addicts, discussing where to get the best product. We already had leak skins, but those were completely optional and no one really cared about them as much as they cared about all the CSGO skins. Those were optional as well, but you could fucking trade them for money on external markets. You had patterns, float values, wares, rarity, Star Trek, all this kind of shit that could suddenly make a shit skin worth like, what, 30 euros be valued at several hundreds of euros. Suddenly, every fucking game ever had skins, loot boxes, microtransactions, and all of that good shit that makes passing a kidney stone seem like a fun time. Microtransactions were fucking all over the gaming industry and the market since the days of the first Android games, but holy fucking shit, in a German Catholic orgy, when the big companies realized that Valve was doing that shit with TF2, they creamed their wallets faster than Flash with premature ejaculation problems. EA and Ubisoft get regular colonoscopy through their ears every time they do some shit like this, but Valve never catches the shit because it's just skins. Sure, shitbag, never mind that back in this good old CS 1.6 days we could create and freely distribute files for our own skins. Never mind that we had custom paint sprays. Who cares about that shit when the average gamer's mom's wallet is as deep as the Mariana's Trench? Because if you are buying this shit, you certainly ain't got nothing more substantial to spend it on like a properly functioning adult. Or you're that Swedish degenerate with a mask. I still love you, Ludwig. And speaking of CSGO, remember when that shit came out? I wasn't there, but from what I've seen, CSGO was a monolithic disaster at launch, and yes, basically it was just as bad as some of the more recent games that got released in the state of a total fucking train wreck, if not even worse. Movement sucked, grenades sucked, guns sucked, and some strats were basically so powered that the players agreed upon not using them, like that one time when two Danish players wanted to outright ban Molotovs from competitive play. And do you remember when Revolver got added? Yeah, because no one fucking uses it anymore. Everyone fucking forgot that that gun even fucking exists. I wonder why. Could it be because, oh, I don't know, they just randomly decided to add a pocket AVP only to nerf it a couple of days later and make the gun fucking unviable for any kind of fucking play? The game was at that point more fucking broken than a glass pane thrown into a fucking wood chipper, but it got fucking fixed by Valve because their precious skin economy was threatened and they just couldn't allow that. And the unfinished release of CSGO and the online element of Steam that was originally intended for updates of games allowed this entire gaming industry to create another fucking cancerous trend. They invented the whole concept of release now, finish later, with the release of the mentioned game CSGO. You might wonder, well, GV's Randy, how could they have ever fucking foreseen that? That's just unforeseen consequences. Nice reference there, shitbag, but well, Sammy Strawman, online games are meant to be developed continuously and are supposed to have content added to them over time. However, with Valve turning CSGO from a fucking unplayable mess to a massive fucking commercial success, the other devs suddenly realized that they don't fucking need to release a finished game. They can just put a golden leaf on the turf after pinching it and promoting it as a finished product. And so, around the year 2012, we started getting more and more unfinished games, and it seems like the general gaming public started waking up to this bullshit only in the last couple of years. I mean, come the fuck on. Do I even need to say the name? Well, Cyberpunk 2077, there's the title for you. That game sucked more dick than Sasha Grey in a gangbang, and just like CSGO, it eventually recovered only because they could update the game post-launch. It's nice that the internet can drag any company across 10 miles of glass and sprinkle the wounds with salt, but no quality control allows these hacks to keep releasing unfinished games to audiences that will eagerly buy anything because they are not familiar with the gaming industry at large. And speaking of buying, come here. Come closer. No, a little bit closer. Yeah, there's a script on the screen. Don't worry about that. Did you fucking know that you own fucking nothing on Steam? Newsflash, Jimbo, turns out the phrase, you will own nothing and you will be happy, is already a reality. You just buy licenses for access to games, you don't buy copies of the games. And companies wonder why, or just why, people still pirate games. That's why the pirate scene is still alive and breathing like a cockroach getting hit with a fucking nuclear bomb of the nouveau, and why Ubisoft can get their dicks sounded with rebar wrapped in razor wire, because you fuckers don't make games anymore, you sell live services. And no, Ubisoft, you don't sell quadruple A games, you sell shit products. I get the convenience of the online storefronts, but that shit allowed all of the developers to release shitty DLCs and single-handedly lower the standard of quality of them to the point where we have games like Payday 2. DLCs should be optional content, and Payday 2 abused it like Drake in an unsupervised orphanage to the point where certain DLCs became mandatory to own, and even certain parts of the story were contained in them. DLCs are now either essential for you to own to be able to play the game properly, or they contain mostly cosmetic items. Doom Eternal requiring you to buy 2 DLCs for you to be even able to play the game in its entirety is prime example why this, as well, is the whole reason why I refuse to even fucking pre-order a game if it has promises of season passes and tiered bonuses and all this shit with DLCs coming down the line for free if you pay some fucking fee. And of course, since games just weren't enough for Valve, they decided to become a hardware manufacturing company as well. Their hardware record laid the foundation for terrible shovelware with Steam Machine and Steam Link, which directly inspired the Stadia debacle and the myriad of cloud-based consoles and other now e-waste. It doesn't matter that their game franchises are more dormant than a patient in a coma after a car crash, because that sweet, sweet moolah is now also found in the overpriced hardware that they push right down your fucking throat. And even if the hardware is admittedly good, the competition always gets ahead of them thanks to the fact that they offer cheaper and more powerful hardware. But how can Valve manage to handle both software and hardware development? Well, because they used to have a free-form structure where anyone could switch between projects as they pleased, but in about the last 8 years they've transitioned to a more traditional structure, which is fucking baffling to me how they are still incompetent at making or maintaining games that fucking make them money. The reason why Valve reputation is going down the drain only now are cheap games and their old game franchises, which protected them from getting shit flinged their way in the past. Sure, shitbag, everyone wants a good game for cheap, but buying games on Steam is like buying a crack addict another dose. You are just encouraging their shitty behavior and preventing him from actually getting the help he desperately needs. And of course, Valve are still beloved for games they published more than 10 years ago. With their unwillingness to fix TF2 and by directly allowing criminal activity like doxing, swatting, spread of CSA and impersonation to take place by not doing anything about the bot problems in TF2, they are just proving that they don't give a fuck about you, right? They don't give a fuck about their beloved old games. They don't give a fuck about anything that doesn't make them money. Just look at how they've treated Fortress 2, for example. It's been like, 7 fucking years since the last really major content update. I don't remember where I've seen someone say this, and if you do know who said this, then please comment it and I will tag them under the video in the top comment. But I think that it perfectly encapsulates Valve's greed. And it went something along the lines of this. They don't want to release new games. They just want to coast off the success of their past games. They want to only make games that keep churning out money without their input. And I mean, it's a dream. Who wouldn't want this? But have you looked at the Wikipedia page that lists all Valve games? Yeah, ever since Portal 2 in 2011, which is more than or about 13 years ago, they've released only 3 single-player games. Why do you think so? Because multiplayer games make them more money. And what kind of single-player games did they release? Maybe one of their biggest hardware things? Valve Index can provide us with the answer. But it's not just the 2 or the 3 of these games, but all of them, all of these single-player games, were, drumroll please, for fucking VR! There were 2 tech demos for fucking VR. Hey, yeah. And the third game, Half-Life Alyx, that was a fucking full-fledged game and arguably the best VR game. I never played it, but many people are saying that it is the best VR game. And speaking of VR and Half-Life Alyx, which is a steaming piece of street decorations from San Francisco, it is mediocre in comparison to the mods and free fan-made content that their fans are making for free. And even then, Alyx, a VR-locked game, literally had a mod released that allows people to play it without an overpriced piece of hardware and actually finish the game like it was fucking designed that way. Valve's fans proved one very important thing, and it's that their entire game dev teams are fucking obsolete and incompetent, because ever since they've stopped making single player content, their fans proved that they can carry their franchises on their shoulders with releases like Portal Revolution, Portal Reloaded, or even Black Mesa and Entropy 02, and what's even better, for absolutely fucking free on their own fucking shoulders instead of Valve doing so. Don't you fucking get it? They allow fans, they allow you to fuck around with Source Engine because you fuckers Keep making their own games for them. You are literally doing their job for them for free. And all those games are pushing the engine to its absolute fucking limit. And yet, Valve doesn't seem to give a shit because these old games just don't make them money. Swords stopped making them money a long time ago, so yeah, why should they care? Here you go, fuckers, here you go. Enjoy the fucking engine. Eat my left nut. For all I fucking care, it's not making me any money. Except when you play with their newest toys. And look out for this. Except for when you play with their newest toys, their fucking lawyers are on high alert. Why? Because Team Fortress 2 on Source 2, which was a mod, got shut down because of a fucking copyright breach. So hold on a moment. Remaking your old title for free on your newest engine, completely for fucking free, right? That's a breach of copyright, but when some people use your assets in their mods that come out for free, then suddenly it's not a copyright breach. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Valve, there? How is one shit copyright breach and the other is not? It's so fucking baffling. And I believe that's why they are making Deadlock. Because they just want another game like Dota 2 or CS2 or TF2 that can make them bank on the skin economy. Because they don't give a jack shit about how the games play or what state they are in. Because if you dare to threaten their sacred money, then they will step in and sort that shit out as if they were the fucking IRS and you were not filling your tax papers properly. So, what can we take away from this? Well, a couple of things. 1. Valve are not your fucking friends. They are a corporate entity. 2. They no longer care about making good games. They care about making money. 3. Their fans are better at making their games than their own developers. 4. They've started most of the shit we hate about modern gaming industry. 5. Even if Valve release a multiplayer game after years of their fans waiting, it's still so fucking broken that we have to wait for them to patch it right after they add another fucking batch of skins, of course. 6. By not addressing TF2 and fix TF2, and after refusing to do so during safe TF2, I mean, fucking really, they outright fucking refused to do so during an internal meeting. Look that shit up, it's really fucking ridiculous or retarded. They are indirectly responsible for allowing illegal activity to happen because of their events within their game and because of events outstemming from their game that are happening outside of the game. And 7, and the most important point, never fucking trust a corporation. And now, I know that seeing my fucking eyes and taking off these glasses is something that Razorfist did, and I've been reading from a script this entire time, but I just wanted to take this persona of Randy for a couple of minutes off, and I still have some points here, but I just wanted to take this ridiculous part and this ridiculous face, and I'm constantly staring at myself, but I just wanted to be a little bit more real with you, like in that one moment that Razorfist also had, and yeah, I'm copying Razorfist. I'm not secretive about that, but I know that this will come off as a harsh reality to some of you. I know that most of you don't even want to listen to me ramble about Valve or fix TF2, and that most of you don't want to listen to this because maybe you're an ordinary gamer or you're too deep into the game of your choice that Valve had to release. But I really want you to listen to what I have to say here. I know what that feels like to see your favorite company go down the drain, especially a favorite gaming company go down the drain, and you're witnessing them absolutely fucking ruin their reputation. And Valve is the company I grew up with. It was the company whose games I've been playing since I was a kid. I remember sitting behind my dad on a chair and watching him play Half-Life 2. And some of my fondest memories, not just with like watching my dad play games, but also with my friends. Some of my most fond memories came from Valve games. Like that's why I even made that whole series of Excrement Gaming with Left 4 Dead 2, which had like 7 episodes, because it's just Valve games are just fucking fun to play. But seeing Valve ruin themselves and ruin their most beloved game is like watching a good friend succumb to an addiction. It's a disaster unfolding before your very own eyes, and you are unable to do anything about it. And you can either completely stop supporting that friend, and maybe he has a small chance of recovering, or you can further let him ruin himself. And you might be asking, why should I care about any of this? Well, because, as I've said in this video, Valve absolutely affected in the past everything about the gaming industry. And because not doing anything is just sending them a message that we are too weak, and that if they just ignore us for long enough, then they will just stick their heads back into the ground and wait the storm out. And we absolutely can't let them live this out. We can't let them wait out the storm. We can't let them get away with this. That's not a Sam Hyde reference. That's just something I said. But yeah, we can't let them get away with this. And there are reasonable doubts and some probable evidence that Valve is trying to wait this storm out, and that Valve is trying to ignore this, and they are hoping that it stays under the carpet, where it, in their opinion, probably belongs, as we've seen with that whole Save TF2 response that I've mentioned, where they agreed that it's an uphill battle to fix the game because they just don't want to put that effort in. But by not fixing Team Fortress 2, they are indirectly allowing illegal activity to keep happening. And there was this idea in the Team Fortress 2 fandom where someone said that we should boycott TF2 and not take part in the economy. But some of the more famous YouTubers involved in this entire situation said that financially boycotting Valve and specifically TF2 is a bad idea because they will shut out the game. But I want to remind you that we should do this financial boycott, and that financial boycotts are illegal, and that Team Fortress 2 is still making Valve money through their whales, and they won't just close the servers just because they don't want to deal with the bots. They would, because closing TF2 forever would chop off a significant part of their income. Because maybe Team Fortress 2 isn't making them as much money as before, but the item fees and the items are still making them money. And that's the whole thing with what I've mentioned, with the fact that Valve doesn't care about updating their games. They just care about their games making them money after they're released. They just want to make something, release it into the world, and they just want to have a passive income. But they've chosen an industry where you have to actively work for that. And if you keep rewarding them with your money, if you keep voting with your wallet, then they have a fucking incentive to continue this behavioral issue. They have a fucking incentive to continue doing this. And we absolutely need to drag both Dota 2 and CS fandoms into this, because they don't realize, and I've seen some people tell me this, I've had some people tell me this, but they don't realize that this shit can happen in their games as well. Absolutely, it can happen. If you're a Dota fan or a CS fan, this can happen to your game. And CS fans are going through this right now, like with the whole hacker problem. Like from what I've seen, hackers are still in the game, and Valve did nothing to fix the issue. They just released like a fucking case. They didn't even release an operation for CS2 yet. Yeah. And they are doing nothing to fix that issue. But if we boycott them and completely stop using the community market for Valve games, then we are going to create enough pressure on Valve because they suddenly stop making money from that. And even if not everyone stops using the market, then we will still put a significant dent into Valve's income. And again, as I've said previously a couple of minutes ago, I want to remind you that financial boycotts are illegal and that you shouldn't be apathetic. We shouldn't give up. We shouldn't let Valve get away with this. And we absolutely need to keep fighting for this game because it's an awesome game. And I love this game and I love other Valve games. And seeing Valve absolutely don't give a fuck and ruin their own reputation is so painful. So, yeah, that's it. My name is Randy, and thanks to Razorfist for this format, and God fucking speed.